Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about how not to be a Vainpot and buy private property. I'm sure this is something that a lot of us get it from our parents, very conservative parents especially. They will always tell us, "Aya, go and find a decent job. Don't try to think one day you strike rich." In Chinese, it's called 脚踏实地. Means you got to be very honest and diligent to do your work and then go and get a HDB when you plan to get married. This is the typical phrase that I get from my parents when I was growing up. And I also hear that from my friends' parents as well. So today is going to be quite interesting topic. Perhaps something that a lot of people also ask, but don't really dare to ask agent because they're afraid agent upsell them. So today we're going to share about this and how not to be a Vainpot to buy private property. Condo lah, actually saying private property means condo lah, and just stay safe in HDB. How often you hear your friends saying, I just want to be comfortable. And we are fine here. We don't have extra mortgage loan, no stress, or I already fully paid up my house. Why should I go and take a bigger mortgage to buy another more expensive property? Don't take the risk. Just stay in my comfort zone, just stay put. Or I just buy a HDB. Every month the mortgage is so comfortable. I don't even feel a pinch when I buy HDB. Nothing wrong about that. It's really your choice at the end of the day. This video is to provide clarity. It's not to put down anybody. This is to share the reality and the future if you want to achieve certain quality of life during your retirement. And then I just need to point out on what are the missing opportunities, such as capital appreciation, passive income, and perhaps to build your wealth for your retirement. Okay, I'm not a financial planner, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm here to really show that how asset can help you to achieve a very decent retirement life, to have the flexibility of doing what you want to do in future. Now, today's content will be from this way. Why? Why should I do it? Why? I'm very comfortable in my HDB. Why you expect me to go and change to a bigger mortgage private property? Then I explain to you the cycle of HDB tenure and also share a real life example that is a real couple, what they are doing. They started late, but they still managed to do it. And lastly will be how. We all want to do things safely. We don't want to do things in a rash manner and jeopardize ourselves and end up losing everything. No, this is not what we want. We must make sure that whatever we do, plan properly, be safe and stable. Just an overview of how price gap has increased over the past 20 years. This is a data for clarity's sake, just to put 1,000 square foot for each category, HDB, private and landed. So we put this as 1,000 square feet each, so that it's easier to compare. So in 2005, a HDB 1,000 square foot unit is about 234,000. So right now, after 20 years, the average is increase of 200% in increase, and the price now is 713,000. Staggering, right? However, if you look at the private property, same 1,000 square feet, the unit after 20 years from 689,000 is now increased to 2.37 million. Is 239% increase. Let's look at the private right now. Okay, private of course is not 1,000 square feet lah. It's definitely bigger, but we break it down, the data into 1,000 square feet. After 20 years, from 593,000, it becomes 3.17 million. So the increase is 435%. It's staggering. So overall, of course, in Singapore, the property price has increased steadily over the years. Definitely, there'll be a dip, but the spike is always higher than the dip. Just looking at condo and HDB resale for the past 10 years performance, for this data, I've taken from the Q1 of 2015 to Q1 this year, 2026. Over the past 10 years, condo has increased 46% in terms of profit for the sellers lah. For the 10 years period, is about 46% increase. Means per square foot, it added about $553 per square foot. And for HDB, the increase is 52%. Then you might say, no, HDB increased the percentage higher. Yes, In terms of percentage number, yes. But if you look at the absolute number, it's about $222 per square foot for HDB increase. So if you compare to the next slide, the findings is both HDB and condo have increased in value in terms of quantum price and also in terms of percentage. But however, please take note, the HDB gains could not catch up with the private property gains. That is definitely for sure. Because HDB is not meant for wealth creation. It's meant for affordable living, it's meant for a roof over our head, it's not meant for speculation as well. That's why the valuation is always kept at very safe price. It's not overheated, it's not overpriced, it's meant to be like that. And in terms of difference per square foot, if I minus out, it will be the difference of $331 per square foot. So if you're talking about 1,000 square feet unit, right, the difference will be about $331,000 over 10 years. That is a lost opportunity over 10 years. I mean, if you compare to the stock market, you might say that, 10 years I can easily earn back the $331,000. Sure, yes, fine. I understand. I have also invested in stocks, and I also have friends who invested in Bitcoins, etc. Maybe 300 plus thousand is easy money for them in a few years' time. But however, we are just talking about property here, and real estate in Singapore is definitely safe because we are safeguarded by all the government policies, and we are not here for speculation. We are here for a very stable increase over the years to protect our own retirement in future. Of course, you will say, I'm still so young. Why should I talk about retirement, right? I still got a whole life ahead of me. Precisely, you're young. When you're young, this is the best time to plan. Don't plan when you are getting old, then it's already GG, game over. Next, let me talk about HDB lease life cycle. HDB is, I repeat again, is not meant to be a speculative tool. It's not for speculation. It's not meant for wealth creation. So the price is always kept at very affordable level for everyone to purchase. Whoever, so long you got work not that you're a bummer, right? So long all of us work, we have a decent income, regular income, we have CPF contribution. Actually, buying a HDB is not a problem for anybody. It's meant to be that way. This is our Singapore public housing. This is one of the best in the world, if not the best, honestly. Because it ensures everyone has a roof over our head. And we actually so-called own it for 99 years. We are proud of what we have after all these years of hard work, right? Don't get me wrong, I actually came from HDB background as well, yeah? I am not anti-HDB, by the way, okay? Let's start off with stage 1, BTO, built to order. Those eligible couples, you are allowed to buy BTO. And of course, HDB got a lot of so-called eligibility schemes. So refer to HDB website to find out if you're eligible and under which category and how much subsidy you can get if you buy BTO from HDB. Okay, first stage is always BTO. BTO is always the cheapest and the lowest price for the whole tenure of a HDB because it's meant to be sold. The government want to help everyone to own a house. Second, you will see this stage 2 MOP. It's not mop the floor, it's called minimum occupation period. Means you have to stay in the house for at least, depends on when you buy the HDB, under which scheme, which policy. So for the existing HDB owners, right, all of us have to stay 5 years. But for the future HDB owners, they have to stay at least 10 years, depends which type of housing they are getting, because now we got a new policy started in 2023. We have plus, prime and standard flats. So standard flats is actually 5 years MOP, but for prime and plus is 10 years MOP. For more information, please refer to HDB website. Okay, and third stage is when the resale prices of that HDB block or that HDB unit will start to peak. It will go up to this top price. In my previous HDB, when I bought, it was very low. Back then was only 600 plus. So I've seen my neighbors even went up to 900 plus, almost $1 million for their resale HDB. So I was amazed, like, wow, the resale got so high, almost touched 1 million back then. And that was quite a few years ago lah. Of course, now it's very common to see 1 million HDB flat, but back then I would say it's not common to see HDB flat seeing $1 million mark. My neighbor, when they sell their HDB, almost $1 million. Now I just look back at my previous HDB estate, then realize that the prices there still did not break through more than $1 million. And it's still relatively around the same price hovering as what I saw the other time, which is 900 plus over 1,000. So it means that the cluster of HDB flat has achieved its peak. It will not go anywhere further. Means you don't expect these HDB houses to go beyond 2 million? No, it will not happen because it already reached its peak. It will be some years of plateau for a while. It will stay so-called very stagnant price. It will not drop, it will not increase drastically, but the price will remain more or less is the same. Then after that, you will see a decline. However, I must say, the rate of decline depends on the market condition. The decline can be slow and very gradual, or it can be very steep. So it depends on conditions such as if there is newer MOP around the vicinity and the state of the condition, meaning if the flat is in a good condition or not. If let's say the flat is looking very cui, means very rundown, not well maintained, not even renovated, then I don't think you can command high price. It's just a matter of fact. So people got to spend a lot of money on renovation. And if you have newer or younger MOP blocks, meaning they just achieved MOP, they will be your newest competition in the vicinity. So the older blocks, yes, they might be bigger size, but because they are lower in tenure in terms of age, people will not spend that kind of money to buy an older flat unless there's really very special condition that appeals to people. But this is a general explanation of a HDB cycle. Okay, coming to this slide, in 2010 to 2020, the private property prices in Singapore. CCR refers to Central Core region, such as Orchard Road, Tanglin, River Valley, Holland, Bukit Timah, etc. These are the high-end area, the atas area. They are usually very close to the central of the region. And you have RCR, which is rest of Central Core region. And you have OCR, which is like Pasir Ris, Yishun, Jurong, Tampines, etc. Sembawang, Woodlands. Okay, so when you come and look at the prices increase, so for the past 10 years, for the private properties, right, RCR has increased by 43%. OCR has increased by 42%. And the CCR has increased by 28%. So overall, it's still an increase for the past 10 years between 2010 to 2020. So this is a glimpse of what we can find about Singapore real estate prices for private property. Just looking at one particular condo, it's a very popular condo in Queenstown, District 3. This is RCR, rest of Central Core region. And between the 20 years data, it has gained about 70% in terms of growth. So looking at the 3-bedder, the 3-bedder has increased 400,000 on average for their data between 2008 to 2018. So for the range of 10 years, 3-bedders has increased 400,000. Why I say 3-bedders? Because usually family nucleus, they will prefer to have a 3-bedder, which is the ideal size for family. So you see, private property steadily increase, and I'm just taking as the average price in 2008, the average price in 2019. The increase is about 400,000. So how you say it's a slow gain. It's not something that it is like, wow, like stock market or this. It's not speculation. Something that you'll see growth slowly and gradually. And looking back, what is your retirement cost? Have you ever thought of it? How much you will need to retire? If let's say you want to retire at 60 years old, you don't want to work anymore, then you say, I don't want to work already, enough. I want to travel around the world. I want to enjoy my life. Can. Let's say you live until 85, let's say. How much do you need for daily expenses? As of today, 2026, let's say you need 4,000 a month between you and your partner. For over the 12 months, 1 year, you need 48,000. 1 year, 48,000. So if you live until 85, you will need at least 1.2 million. The question is, do you have 1.2 million? Are you ready? Do you have this 1.2 million already standby for you to retire? And this is just a very numeric estimation. This is without factoring the inflation in the future, because you remember, inflation will cause our money get smaller and smaller. Meaning last time McDonald's maybe $5 but 10 years down the road, do you think McDonald's meal will still cost $5 per meal? So it's remain to be seen. Everything goes up. Even chicken rice nowadays, you can hardly find $3 already, right? So usually the chicken rice at least $4, $5 minimum. So I'm talking about hawker center, not restaurant. The purchasing price of money will reduce. This 1.2 million is a very conservative estimate for you and your partner for retirement over the next 25 years. Okay, later you ask me, what is the purpose of upgrading? Why should I upgrade? Simply, it's not because of vanity. It's not because you want to show off. You say, no lah, I don't need to show off. I'm very happy with where I'm staying right now, my HDB. Some people buy condo is to show off that they have a pool to swim, they got facility, they can book function room, etc. I say, yeah, some people are here to show off. But I'm just saying, for you yourself, it's not really for showing off. It's really for a better life ahead of you when we retire. Who wants to slog your life when you retire? Nobody wants to, right? But I'm just saying that property is a good hedge for future inflation and depreciation of the dollar value, because our $10, our $50 will just depreciate over the years. $10 can use to buy very decent 2 meals, but now $10 you can't really buy much. So even when you go supermarket groceries, $100 is a bit of a stretch. You used to be able to buy a trolley of things, now you can just buy a basket of things. So between condo, HDB, it's not just about status, really. It's about hedging yourself for your retirement and against inflation and the unknowns of your life, whatnots. And let's say you intend to take a break, perhaps even to retire early. You can also downgrade from condo back to HDB, and you cash out using that profit to buy a smaller or even more affordable HDB, and you have a bigger pool of cash that you can use to retire as you wish. Now, talking about affordability, because time is essence. Everyone will say, wait until I'm ready lah. Wait until I save enough money. Money is never enough. You can save all you want, but by the time you finish saving, the inflation, the appreciation of price will just keep going. And then, we find that you cannot save enough to catch up. So I always hear that phrase from my own friends, even my colleagues, or even clients, strangers that I meet day to day. They always tell me, I'll wait until I save money first lah. Let me tell you, time is essence, and because why? Because of the word age. Our age, whether we like it or not, our age makes a lot of difference. Let's take one example. This example is when the applicant is 30 years old, earning $7,000, and the partner 28 years old, earning $5,000. Now the TDSR calculation in terms of stress test by the MAS is about 4%. This is up to the central bank MAS, so it will be changed according to how they deem fit, but currently it's 4%. So when it comes to private property, for this income level, they are allowed to buy the property price at 1.84 million. If they decided to buy a EC, it's about 1 million. If they plan to buy HDB resale, it's about 900,000. So it's based on affordability, on the age, plus their income calculated. So if you look at someone who is much older, 40 years old and 23 years old with the same income, 7,000 and 5,000, assuming they have no loan, that's very important. Assuming they have no loans, such as credit card, car loan, student loan, rental loan, personal loan, whatever loan. So assuming there is no loan, their affordability is going to be very different. If you look at still the same 4% stress test, but in terms of private property, this 40 and 38 years old couple, they can afford 1.67 million private condo. And for EC, it's 910,000. And for resale HDB, it's also 910. The affordability drops as your age increase. So do as early as you can. Of course, you definitely have to have saving first, but I'm just saying when you have saved enough for the down payment, it's time to take action. If you continue to wait, the affordability will drop, the TDSR will drop, or even your MSR if you consider to upgrade to a bigger HDB. So looking at the real couple, this is a real couple. Just to share as a case study. When they started, they got married, buy a BTO at 235,000. They just started buying BTO. No money, buy BTO. With the minimum upfront, they can buy BTO. Then when the BTO MOP already, they sold it for 530,000. And they went to buy a HDB resale at 650,000. So they stay there, fast forward about 7 years, then they decided it's time to sell the HDB. They sold the HDB at 740,000 and they bought a new condo at 1.65 million. Then you will look at this like, wow, this is like a double jump, It's a huge, big gap from 740,000 jump to 1.65 million condo, double the price. Okay, then they stay there for about 4 years. And they decided, I need a bigger house. Then they just decided to sell their condo. They managed to sell at 1.9. So the condo from 1.65 sold at 1.9 over the 4 years time. And they buy a new condo at 3.3 million. Then while waiting for the condo to be ready, they are renting for 2 years. You might say that, I don't like to rent. Some people don't like to rent, but maybe they can stay with their parents, or you have another house that maybe your relative or your parents actually has and is vacant, you can stay. But of course, not all of us have that luxury. So if you're able to find a place to stay, let's say for a few years while waiting for the completion of the condo, that would be great. If not, just rent. A lot of people does that actually. It's nothing surprising lah. It's just that perhaps not so mainstream, because all of us never thought of renting, especially we are local, we are not foreigners, we are not expats. We don't expect to rent. But however, it's very common nowadays. So for the 2 years of waiting, they rented, and then by this year, their condo should MOP. And honestly, can you predict what is the price appreciation when they get the key this year? They bought at 3.3 million for this bigger condo. Now, we are not talking about speculation. We're talking about this is their only place of stay, and they are going to stay there for quite a few years, I would say. Perhaps 5, 10, and by then, how much the appreciation will go compared if they continue to stay at HDB. I mean, nothing wrong if you still want to stay in HDB, honestly, because HDB is still not meant to be a wealth creation tool. It's not meant to help you to earn money. So if you manage to buy a resale HDB and still sell at a very high price, good for you. But let me tell you, this is not the norm, because HDB is not meant to increase price. It's not meant for speculation. Okay, right now, what should you do and how? Because right now, if you see the trend, the prices of land is really low because government have made some changes in the policy, such as harmonize. In 2023, we rolled out the harmonized policy, meaning things like planter, aircon latch, and how the different government agencies standardize the spaces in a private property. Right now, it is all harmonized already. So all the government agencies speaks the same language and how they measure. So when the land is now readjusted by URA and so-called cheaper, they are sold at a cheaper rate compared to the previous time. Right now, we have this window of gap whereby the land cost is lower. And of course, interest rate has been dropping. So it remains to be seen how low this year will get. 1.45? How long it can get? Is it going to get as low as during the COVID time? Or even lower than COVID time? We don't know. Wait to be seen. Let's see the new Fed head of US. What do they plan next? So right now, we can buy into a V-shaped window for both buyer and seller. You can afford to sell high and buy low. Why? Because the future price is going to protect your current price. So, for example, if you're staying in a condo, if you're staying in private, you can plan to upgrade from non-harmonized to harmonized, or even choose a better location. Let's say you stay in OCR, Yishun, Tampines, or Pasir Ris. You might plan to want to stay nearer to town, perhaps Tiong Bahru, Toa Payoh, RCR, or even one bigger leap into the town area, CCR. Perhaps you can even afford Tanglin, River Valley, or Holland, perhaps. And then upgrade to a bigger unit, meaning per square foot is lower, and the quantum, yes, it can be bigger, but it's still lesser over per square foot. Now, for example, taking advantage of the new HDB policy. HDB has introduced Plus Flat 2 years ago and also the prime area BTO last year. So what happened is when you have these two types of HDB, they all face 10 years MOP. 10 years MOP meaning they have to stay there for at least 10 years before they can resell. And because government deemed this HDB as premium HDB because they receive subsidy, they are near to the transport hub and popular school, amenities, malls, etc. So they are more sought after, and also to reduce so-called potential speculation trying to drive up the HDB resale prices. So instead of 5 years, now they have 10 years MOP. And then you will notice that also it caught the headline is they will have a clawback of up to 14%. Let's say for the new BTO at the former Keppel Club, which is very near Toloblanca, Sentosa, opposite Sentosa per se, it will have a clawback of 14%. 14 means government HDB will take back 14% from you when you sell your HDB after MOP 10 years later. Because this is the first BTO project that is launched in the new housing estate for the Greater Southern Waterfront. This is a big, massive project that the government wants to undertake to spruce up this Greater Southern Waterfront line, and they will have both mixed HDB and private housing. Consider yourself very premium if you can buy the BTO there, because not everyone able to buy. You must qualify for the eligibility, and as well as you must meet the income ceiling in order to purchase. But there is a 10 years MOP and there will be a clawback of 14%. Lastly, Red Hill Peak at Bukit Merah and Mount Pleasant Crescent in Toa Payoh will also come with a clawback of 12% and 10% respectively. So it means these are the highly popular area lah. People will want to go there and buy the BTO there and stay there instead. So this clawback is going to be high because it's so popular. But have you considered if the clawback is so high, in the end, if you sell in future, if you take it like a speculation, if you want to have the mindset like, oh, I buy this premium HDB, then in future I sell at a profit. But think about it, do you really will get a profit in future if you plan to do so? Because there is a clawback of this 10%, 12%, 14%. We can never forecast what is the future HDB resale selling price. So we must keep this in mind before you plan the next move. And the next one will be why HDB owners exit is the best opportunity. Right now, you will see a lot of people trying to sell high and cash out the maximum because there is still no competition from these prime and plus flat yet because they are still not built finished. They haven't collect key and they are still under construction. So this is the best time that you can sell high and cash out the maximum. But this is particularly related to those locations that is in the popular area, especially to those popular schools perhaps. So it's not saying that everywhere you can sell high, but looking at this data alone, you can see that the increase of each quarter, 10.6%, 8.6%, 6.8%, 3.8%, and lastly 3.4%. So every quarter it has been increasing between 2021 to 2025. Of course, the increase that is the most massive during the COVID period when people need a bigger space, they got to work from home. They realized that space is more important and they decided to go for a bigger resale HDB flat, which is not wrong. So it drives up the prices. That's why it explains why the quarter-to-quarter change is so high during that period. So after the COVID period over, everything start to simmer down back to the norm price. Looking at the first mover advantage, the OCR land selling at the future RCR or even CCR cost. And can you imagine the prices now escalating higher? And if you don't take advantage of this window is going to close soon. Perhaps nobody will know when the window will close, but the window will be closing. Are you ready to embrace this opportunity when the window is still open? For example, Zion Grand near River Valley is actually in Havelock area. It's very close to the Old Zouk, in front of Great Wall City. Okay, Zion Grand, the land price is 1,002 per square foot per plot ratio, and is sold average about 3,000 per square foot. It is launched in 2025 Q3. Land was awarded to developer in a year ago, which is year 2024 April. So about 1 year later, they launched it. The price is about $3,000 per square foot. Then you see the other one will be Promenade Peak. It's also the same. The government sold the land at 1,003 per square foot, and it sold average about 3,003 per square foot. Also around the same time as Zion Grand. And Penrith is in Queenstown. The land is sold at 1,001, and in the end, the developer sold more than 90% on the day one, the booking day, at average 2,008 per square foot. And you look at this one in green color, Lakeside. Lakeside is OCR. It's very near to Jurong West. It's sold at 1,001 per square foot. So if you compare Lakeside with Queenstown Penrith, their land cost is almost similar. 1,001, $52 versus 1,001, $32 is almost similar. But one is in OCR Lakeside and the other one is RCR, which is Queenstown Penrith. So can you imagine the future selling price of this land? So it's targeted to launch this year, 2026 Q3. So it remains to be seen what is going to be the launch price. This is a good example to show that OCR is selling at RCR prices. We also have this Dorset Road, which is at District 3 near Little India, and the sold price is 1,003 per square foot. You can round up to 1,004 per square foot per plot ratio is considered RCR. And Toloblanga Road, government sold at 1,003 per square foot and is OCR considered, but I would say that the launch price shouldn't be OCR price. It will be definitely very well priced. Chuan Grove, which is at Serangoon area, is OCR, but they have two plots already sold. One plot is 1,003 per square foot, 79 per square foot per plot ratio. Another one is 1,331 per square foot per plot ratio. So it remains to be seen when it's launched, either end of this year or early 2027, how much it's going to be. This is OCR price alone. And looking at Bedok Rise, Bedok is a mature estate in Singapore and a lot of old flats down there as well as condos. You don't really often see new launches in Bedok as well. This condo is going to stir up a lot of interest among the people who likes the area, Bedok. And look at the land cost, 1,330 per square foot per plot ratio. So can you imagine what is the future selling price? It's going to be launched end of this year. It remains to be seen what is going to be the future selling price. Now, do you see the window of opportunity? Now, when the RCR, the land cost is even lower than the OCR price, do you see the window of opportunity down here? Okay, next, first mover advantage. RCR land cost selling at future CCR price. So can you imagine Tiong Bahru, Redhill selling at the future Holland price? It's something that you could not imagine, right? But it's happening. It is happening. So the window opportunity right now is to be able to buy something that is still RCR price, but at the future CCR price. Okay, looking at this, Sky at Holland. It is very near to Holland Village, and I would say the central of Holland. The first day it was sold 98% when it's launched late last year. So Sky at Holland, the land cost is 1,285 per square foot per plot ratio, and the average selling price is 2,009, pushing it to almost $3,000. You might say it's a lot, but however, if you look at River Green is in River Valley area, is CCR also, and is sold at 1,003 per square foot per plot ratio, and the average selling price about 3,001. So you see the prices slightly identical, very closely matched in terms of the prices, and these are the CCR price. Then when you look at Dorset Road, which is in District 8, and the land is sold to developer at $1,388 per square foot per plot ratio. How much do you think the future price will be when it's sold? Well, remains to be seen. And Toloblanga Also, just now what I mentioned, 1,326 per square foot per plot ratio. And Tanjong Ru. Tanjong Ru is considered RCR, but it has the benefit of waterside living because it's facing the water, the river of Kallang River and the sports hub. And it's a very popular area. I would say very atas area. The recent land sold at $1,455 per square foot per plot ratio. This is Tanjong Ru, RCR. And it's already sold higher than Holland and River Valley. Fast forward to Newton. Newton also have a land that is sold to developer at $1,820 per square foot per plot ratio. Can you imagine the future selling price? And if you look at another one, which is Danyan Road, which is along Bukit Timah. In Bukit Timah, Danyan Road is sold as $1,004 per square foot. And last one, Holland Link. Holland Link is sold at $1,004 per square foot, July last year. And River Modern, that was sold in January, 90% sold out on the first day. It is average about $3,002. The land is sold at $1,004 per square foot. Now, looking forward, what's the impact of the land cost? So you see the land cost continue to increase over the years, going upwards. Imagine in future Bedok Rise, they are selling a 3-bedroom at almost 2.3 million. Compared to Queenstown now, also 2.3 million. So one is OCR, one is RCR, but selling almost equivalent price. And Lakeside, 2.12 million. This is the estimate moving forward. And compared to what you can see in the current CCR price, it's very clear that the prices are moving upwards. Are you ready for this window of opportunity before the price get escalated? Okay, so for owners, thinking big is not about asking what might go wrong tomorrow. You might worry, what if tomorrow I got no job, all this thing. I mean, it's a very logical question. But we all, normally speaking, we will find job and we'll work and find another job and work, etc. We still have to work, correct? We still have to earn money. But the most important thing is start asking what gives you clarity for the next 10 to 15 years. You want something safe moving forward and helps you to build your retirement fund when you want to retire at 60 or 65. This is the most important. So thank you for staying with me. Hope it brings you some clarity. And if you want to know more information, please welcome to drop me a line, call me or DM me at this number. Do remember to subscribe to my YouTube and hope to see you. Thank you.